that is presented in this meeting. This will probably within a few days to a week, we will have this uploaded to our website. So we will have that recording available if anyone is not able to be here today. So that recording has now started. So just have one more person looking for the link here, but I will send that out here real quick so they can get in, and then we will go ahead and get started. So, all right. So hard to believe it's the last time we were all together was March. So time's really been flying this year so far. I want to again thank you all for being here today. What we would normally do to start our meetings is we would have some introduction of vendors and roll call, which we normally do at the start of our meetings. But this month we're going to be foregoing that so we can dive more into our program information and updates for you all. So, and as always, if you do ever have any items about your organization or any big updates, always feel free to contact us, let us know. We're always glad to pass those along to county staff, community members, and partners. And there's a few more people coming in. So, but it does look like we have a great turnout here today, and we really appreciate all of you. Together, we do a lot of great work for La Crosse County and surrounding counties, and we couldn't do it without all of you. So I want to thank you all for that, and thank you all for being here. With that, we do have some county staff here with us today. And sometimes we spend a lot of time emailing back and forth, and we don't all see the face with the name. So I would like to just do some quick introductions of our county staff that we have with us today. Start with myself again. For those of you who just hopped on the meeting, my name is Paul Mettinger. I'm a contract specialist with La Crosse County Human Services. And kick off with our county staff. I would just look for the rest of the contract team. If you want to just introduce yourselves quick.
Yeah, hi, my name is Tiffany Cornell, and I'm also a contract specialist in the contract unit.
Hi, I'm Cindy Werschke, and I am the contract office assistant. I'm the one that emails you your contract and you send it back to me.
Thanks. And then other county staff we have here today. If you're here, how do we, maybe I see Ellen there. If we want to start with Ellen, and then the rest want to just chime in and let us know you're here.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Ellen Daubert. I'm one of the CCS and CLTS supervisors and the clinical supervisor for the CCS program. I will pass it to Katie.
Well, I'm Katie Hunter. I am one of the CCS supervisors with the Pathways team.
Hi, I'm Christy Harold. I'm the quality assurance supervisor for the section.
I'm Shelley Tollefson, one of the CLTS supervisors and Bertha 3 coordinator.
I'm Dawn Ellsworth. I'm fiscal supervisor. I oversee the waiver and CCS billing and the contract unit team.
I'm Cassie Schaefer. I am part of the quality assurance team. I'm a program specialist and work with all the provider credentialing items for CCS.
I'm Emily Gusky. I'm also a part of the quality insurance team. I am a program specialist like Cassie and work with the CCS primarily.
Any other county staff here today? There's only so many spots on my screen I can see. I don't want to miss anybody. All right. Well, thank you all. All right. So with that, we'll first first item today in terms of contract updates, just a quick note, just a small change to our RFP process for all future RFPs that may be coming down the line. The La Crosse County Purchasing Manager, Brian Jostad, he's taking over, he's taking on new RFPs going forward. So just a note on that for the future. Brian has lots of experience with RFPs for La Crosse County for many years. Great guy to work with. So we will be giving updates for any new RFP releases as they become known. We don't have a lot of RFPs currently slated to go out yet this year. We are looking at RFP for child care certification services to be released yet this year. And when we have a firm date on that, we will certainly let vendors know and be releasing that information. So just that quick note on our changes to our RFP process. And then just some information on update on our format for our all vendor meetings, the meeting that we're all here for this morning. We're going to be making a few changes. We typically hold these meetings every July, November, and March. We're going to be transitioning for now to holding one annual meeting, likely in the summer. We're looking at possibly June of 2027. Where we can all come together to discuss contract changes, upcoming RFPs, new kind of program updates, annual budget and rate setting information. Our county program and contracting staff will always be available throughout the year for questions, information, updates, meetings. Upon review of our meetings and annual communication, we feel that for now one meeting should be beneficial and a little more efficient with more focus on our program related items and a broader focus on contracts and budgets in the summer. For CCS vendors, our CCS staff will continue to have quarterly meetings similar to the schedule that we have now, but those will be our CCS focus for CCS vendors. So those meetings will be led by our CCS staff. And the first CCS specific all vendor meeting that's slated to be held in November, where we would normally be holding the regular all vendor meeting. There will be a CCS vendor meeting in November. And then we will not necessarily downsizing these meetings, but we'll have one bigger annual meeting where we can all come together to discuss the issues of the year, any contract language changes, budget rate setting information, and things like that. So, of course, as always, any updates throughout the year, we will reach out to vendors. We're always available for program or contract related questions. And we're also looking at sending out a short survey in the coming weeks just to get some feedback on these meetings and of this change. So we'd love your input on that if there's any feedback you have for us. And if there are any items that you would like to see as possible discussion topics at future meetings, we'd love for you to always share that with us as well. So that's just a change concerning the format of these meetings. We'll be going down to one bigger meeting in the summertime rather than the 3 meeting schedule we're currently on. So does anyone have any questions or feedback surrounding that change at all? Don't see anyone. And you feel free, to just unmute and just ask away too if you do have any questions or any feedback. We think it'll be a good change. We know you're all busy too. And of course, nothing's set in stone. If year or two down the road we decide that we want to go back to having more frequent opportunities to meet like this, we can certainly explore that. But for now, we think this will be a good change, and like I said too, we're always available, year round too. So if you ever have any organizational updates or questions for us. All right, and then the next item that we have for contract updates is, believe it or not, we're already looking ahead to 2027 already. I know it's still hot out, but I was at Menards this weekend and they had their Halloween inflatables out, so it's about that time to start looking ahead at 2027. So that's the time we do our budget packet process. So many of you have probably been through the process before, some of you probably many times. But I will just kind of run through just a quick presentation just to kind of give you some examples and kind of show you what to be looking for and keeping an eye out for in terms of our budgeting process. So it'll be likely a refresher for many of you, but just an overview of the timelines, the process, and what we can expect as we look forward to the new year. So I will just bring that up quick. Using two monitors here, so I'm going to try and share my screen quick. Can everyone see screen here? Let's show next slide. I don't want to see that. Okay, I want to stop sharing for 1 second to see if I can get it to all fit on one screen. Okay, now I think we're rolling. All right, is everyone able to see 2027 budget packet and contracting? I'm seeing.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, great. All right, so here's our timeline. Our budget packet process, that's where we set our rates for the next contract year. So you can look for the package to be emailed to you next month. We have a target of August 17th through the 21st, sometime that week, hoping to have those sent out, and hoping to get those back by September 7th. If for some reason there's a circumstance where getting them back by September 7th won't work, you can reach out to us. It is possible to get an extension, but looking at August 17th that week, we'll send them out and have that back by September 7th. So again, we'll send them out August 17th through 21st, September 7th, we get them back, and that will give us the fall to prepare all of our contracts, get the new rates in place, and we'll get those contracts processed and sent out to you with the services going into effect on January 1st. There's two pieces to our budget packets. Many of them will be receiving a CPIU increase, including, I think, the majority of CCS services. We started doing this about 16 years ago. This allows an automatic CPIU increase between 0 and 3% in years 2 and 3 of a contract. So we'll do, we do a 3-year contract, and in years 2 and 3, they're eligible for an automatic CPIU increase. And then we would, again, either a new RFP or negotiation or base rate again in year 4. Now, some services won't be part of the CPIU if there are, state set rates or things of that nature. But many contracts will be receiving a CPIU increase. Due to, and for some reason, if there's RFPs or there's new services or changes to existing services, you may receive 2 different budget packets. So you'll want to be aware of that. If you may get one for the CPIU and one for services that are not part of the CPIU. And that CPIU amount is based on the July CPIU, and that comes out mid-August. So that's the reason why we're targeting that August 17th through 21st as the date to send out those budget packets, because that's when we'll finally have our CPIU numbers. And they've been hovering a little over 3% this year. So with the cap of 3%, that's currently where the trend is looking. We won't know what that CPIU will be until August. But right now, that's where the CPIU has been looking, around that 3%. So as I mentioned, there's two pieces to the budget packet. There's the phase one, and that's the negotiation phase, or the base rate for services in year one. So if you have a phase one budget packet, that will have the base rate where you can continue at the current rate to restart a new contract. That budget packet, it will list the services and the rates and the estimated units. It just won't have a CPIU increase attached to it. It can just be signed and sent back. The budget packet is based on the state's allowable costs policy manual. So the goal is, in the end, to have the option to renegotiate the rates every 3 years. So if you feel the increases haven't been enough to cover your expenses, that's a good time to review that. And that can be cause to review those rates and negotiate. So this is what the budget packet will look like when you get it in your email for that phase one. As I mentioned before, list all of your services. This has 4 services. It may be 2 pages long if you have, 64 services, but we'll list them all with the rates. It will have your contract end dates and then estimated units for the year. So if for phase one, pretty easy. If you get this in an email, you can just sign it, return it to us, and we'll be able to use that as the source document to process the contract for 2027. Also, with phase one, we will be sending off a budget request form. If this is where, if you wish to have a new rate considered for services that aren't set by the state or set by RFP, we will also send this along where you could fill this out. It says 4 tabs, and it's the face sheet, salary and fringe breakdown, expense distribution form, and then a profit calculation. And then you could send this back as well, and program staff and admin staff could review and consider a new rate or negotiation at that point. So with phase one, you will receive this budget request form. But if you want to just continue and sign the previous spreadsheet that was up on the screen, that alone would suffice, and you would not need to fill this out. For phase two, so in years two or three of the contract, that's the CPIU increase. I think the majority of them will have that CPIU. The signature approval of the spreadsheet is all that is needed. Again, we'll know that mid-August. If you feel you need to renegotiate a rate before the 3 years is up and they're not part of an RFP or a preferred provider solicitation, you can request the budget request form. But otherwise, in years 2 and 3, most services would be eligible for the CPIU. And what you would receive in your email looks very similar to the previous spreadsheet. We'll list all your services, the rates, and estimated units, and this will also have your new rate based on the calculation of the CPIU increase. So again, all that is needed is a signature on the bottom stating you wish to proceed with your 2027 contract. You send that back to us. We'll use that as the source document to go ahead and proceed with processing that contract. So just a few things to note. If you do have multiple contracts, you could receive 2 different budget packets for each phase. So just be aware that if you get 2 emails, it may not be a duplicate. I try to put different wording in it. But just so you know that you could receive 2. And both, if applicable, would also have other documents such as room and board cost sheets, if that is applicable. You will not receive a budget packet for services with non-negotiable rates. So if we pay retail price or it's state set or CLTS rate, we will not be sending out a budget packet. At some point, we will have some sort of communication with you to confirm those rates. But those will not be part of this budget packet process. Same with CCS residential. Those use a different actual cost method, so those will not be part of this process either. If you have a multi-year contract at a fixed rate, you also won't receive a budget packet because your rate's already set for the next year, so we wouldn't need to do anything else with that at this time. You also will not receive a budget packet for services that are expected to go out for RFP. So if we do have any services, probably not so many this year, but in the future, if there was anything that was slated to go out for RFP, that would be what is used to set those rates. So, and you can ignore this. Those are not on this year's schedule for RFPs. The unit estimates that will be on your budget packet, those are set by our program staff based on the estimates, the amount of use for those particular services we're looking at for the next year. So you will have that on your budget packet that will indicate units of services projected by the managers. If those estimates seem off to you, please let us know. We want to make sure that we get our estimates as close as possible to make sure that the contract amounts look right. And then the budget packets, they should be reviewed for all services and unit estimates. And again, all you need to do is sign and return it to us, and we should be good to go. So does anyone have any questions on that process? Let's see, any questions? And always when you do receive your budget packet, if you do have questions at that time, if how to fill it out or what's needed, or if the unit estimates look off or anything like that, always feel free to reach out at that time to via email, and we can help you through that. Any questions before we move into our program updates? Okay. All right. Well, with that, I will turn it over for CLTS update to Ellen, or if Shelley is here. Then we'll go to Shelley. So.
Hi, everybody. As you know, there's not a lot of updates really for CLTS since DHS took over the contracting pieces. And if there's like specific questions or issues, we just are to reach out to the CLTS provider relations contact, or we can call. Anything that you guys have questions with Gainwell, just reach out to me and I'll make sure I can connect you with somebody through Gainwell if anybody's having billing issues. I have found a pretty good contact and they've been really user friendly to help through issues. There is a new waiver renewal coming in 2027. And there was some GovDs that were sent out to providers and to county waiver agencies and the public just for any input they were looking at before they finalized that draft. There are some new service descriptions they're looking at. And there is some there's digging into health and wellness a little bit deeper. That was newer on the last waiver renewal, and there's some really gray areas. So they're looking at market rates versus state rates, especially if it's also services offered to the general public. So you may be hearing more if you are a health and wellness vendor of CLTS as we move into the new year. So we're aligned across the state with other counties. Just another reminder is if you are a provider of daily living skills or counseling and therapeutic services, we still need 6-month progress reports on kiddos in your program that get those services. And those can go directly to the social worker or case manager on the case. Any questions for me? Otherwise, I think that's kind of a high level update. I know we're doing a whole lot of waiver updates on this one, particularly more of a CCS lens, but I'm here if you need any questions answered.
All right, not seeing any questions. Thank you, Shelley. All right, and our CCS updates. Is that you this time, Emma?
It's going to start with Katie. So
Okay, start with Katie. All right, well, thank you.
I'll lead today. All right, everyone. We are going to start with a quick review of the RIC CCS travel policy. So just wanting to do a reminder that CCS providers may bill a consumer's Medicaid insurance for travel to and /or from an in-person direct contact service that is medically necessary as described and authorized in the service plan. Some reminders for that are that travel billing claims must include total time traveled and total distance and miles traveled, which are clearly documented in the consumer's case note. Total time traveled for each consumer must be added up before rounding to the nearest 15-minute increment per the CPT rounding guidelines. For group travel, the provider travel time to a group service should be submitted on the claim for each member in the group. CCS would define a group as more than one recipient of services and may include members from other programs and/or funding sources, such as CCS, CLTS, or family care. Travel claims must be submitted in conjunction with the in-person direct service contact documentation and invoice claims. And finally, if there is no in-person direct service contact, the travel time is non-billable. Travel cannot be billed for a telehealth service, and providers may document any non-billable travel for record-keeping purposes only.
then working off of what parts are not reimbursable by Medicaid for staff members is that normal commute to the workplace setting. So providers can't claim for cost of driving a vehicle between their home and their regular workplace. These costs are personal commuting expenses. Providers cannot claim commuting expenses no matter how far their home is from where their regular work is considered. A primary or regular place of work is the location that the provider is ordinarily spending and conducting their service time. This may include an agency office building or an agency satellite office building, a staff member's home if that's their primary office location, or another regular work location. If it's maybe a leased or rented office space, are considered satellite office for the purpose of this guidance. A home office, if a provider has a office as their home that serves as their primary place of business, the provider may claim travel time between their home and a direct consumer service. Two places of work. So if you're traveling between a satellite office, if a provider works at 2 places in the same day, they may claim that time of getting from one workplace to the other. The provider must have a specific business need or service at both workplace location and not simply to travel past one workplace to commute to the secondary workplace. If someone, for some reason, has a personal need to have met in between a service provision and not going directly to another service, a provider cannot bill that to the consumer's Medicaid insurance for the provider's own personal business travel. If there's any questions, please go through and review that travel policy again and send any individual questions to us directly at our HS supervisor mailbox. I'm gonna pass the next part on to Christy to talk more about annual logs, if there's no direct questions or, a larger questions, but if you have an individual question, please just send it to our mailbox.
Hi there. Just a reminder, annual training logs are due on September 1st of this year. As a reminder, if you have upcoming trainings, please indicate this on the log or in communication with a program specialist. Also, the purpose of this is to ensure that all the providers have adequate training to meet statute requirements. And by submitting by September 1, program specialists can review, provide direction as needed to meet all the CCS requirements. We also have pre-filled RW and orientation logs. These have been developed to reduce confusion and increase efficiency when onboarding new staff. These will be located on SharePoint, or you can also get them from the program specialist. The use of these logs begins effective immediately. If you are in the process of working on a RW orientation log, please continue to do that. But in the future, start with the pre-filled logs. Ethics and boundaries. So after some internal discussion and ongoing challenges for vendors, it's been decided that interactive trainings for ethics and boundaries will be approved moving forward. The definition of interactive training is training that requires interaction, quizzes, interactive activities throughout simulations, competency tests, not just a text-based presentation. Any questions on those?
Could you, I have a question. Could you please repeat the ethics and boundaries interactive piece? I was typing notes about the previous thing and missed that part.
Sure. So in the past, we've required live interactive. Now we're just saying that we want it to be interactive. So the definition of interactive training is training that requires some type of interaction. So a quiz, an interactive activity throughout, simulations, sometimes there's a test at the end.
And is that for 2026 or 2027?
We're going to start that immediately.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Ellen.
All right, the next area of discussion is just talking about service plans. Providers should ensure that they are reading the service plans that you receive for your consumers that you are working alongside, understanding the plan should be sent to you. If not, you need to make sure you're connecting with the service facility to make sure you're getting those the regular 6 months updates on that, or any updates in between as well. Service plans are the guidelines for what the vendors are being asked to do with the consumer. Comprehension of these plans and how they works being done relates to the consumer's need is paramount for vendors to understand. Services should be focused on meeting recovery needs, building skills versus just considering it as a mentoring service. The expectation is that the vendors should be able to explain the services being provided and how the services relates to that consumer's recovery goal. And always, if you have questions, please reach out to the service facilitator if you're questioning, like, what is the ask that is being asked of you to do alongside the consumers, and so they can help you and provide that clarity if it doesn't feel that way based on what you've received. Any questions on that? All right, I'm gonna pass it to Katie. We're talking about AI.
Thank you, Ellen. All right, everyone. Sorry, lost myself for a second there. AI utilization, we wanted to remind everyone that for Wisconsin government agencies in general, attendees cannot use AI note-taking bots. You will notice that if you logged in with any today, they were removed. And then for CCS-specific services, for use in client documentation, we would ask that providers ensure that the methods are confidential and protect client information. Specifically, no PHI can be used, such as basic demographic information like name, age, gender, address, diagnosis, any dates, contact information, or uniquely identifying information. The thought with this is that in general, providers cannot be using free AI bots for client documentation, such as ChatGPT or Copilot. If you are looking to implement AI into your clinical documentation, you would need to have a HIPAA compliant or closed AI system for client documents. Are there any questions on that item? Okay, Christy?
Hi there. There was a DQA audit that occurred on May 7th. Thank you to everyone who was selected for being available for potential questions from DQA and for having all needed documents submitted. Also, a thank you to our internal QA team, including the program specialist, for ensuring all documents were available for review. Overall, the audit outcome was good. Moving forward, we will need to continue to focus on quality innovation and the value of the coordination committee and future planning. DQA reviewed supervision, service plans, assessments, and trainings. And I will pass that on to Katie.
All right. Okay, our next topic is the coordination committee recruitment. So those of you that are familiar with the coordination committee, it's comprised of providers, former consumers or active consumers, county staff, and any other community member that feels like they're a stakeholder for CCS. We're having struggles recruiting new people for the coordinated committee. So what we are asking is that providers also be sharing information with their consumers about coordination committee. And if your consumer is interested, contacting Heather Lind, the county, to participate. Any questions on coordination committee? Okay. The next item is for vendors who subcontract employees. So recently, Rick was made aware that some vendors throughout the state had been audited by DWD and were made aware that there were limits on subcontracting employees. We're asking that vendors be mindful to follow DWD rules and regulations. What this means for you as contracted providers is that you cannot subcontract staff that bill for the contracted services with La Crosse County. Any questions on that item? Right, Ellen?
I know we've thrown a lot of information at you. You will get this reminder. You will get this recording. This recording will be available for you if you have questions on anything that's coming up. But our kind of last area is just to cover our focus needs, our areas that we'd like to gain some more providers in these specific areas that I will list out next. Specifically, this was pretty much like in all arrays. Some of it is more in the therapy focused. However, like skills and wellness, it also, if we can have supportive services to help consumers with these struggles, it would be also great. Consumers struggling with eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, nutrition support in relation to mental health recovery. This may be more in that therapeutic end, but it's the brain spotting, mental health recovery in connection with social pragmatic communication support, psychological evaluations for youth to adult, youth struggling with substance use, DBT therapist, groups mainly, more looking for group work. Providers with strong boundaries to provide support to consumers who are diagnosed with borderline personalities disorder in all service arrays, housing navigation supports, and continuing to look for vendors of all service arrays to support our rural community. Since we are RIC Consortium working with Monroe and Jackson, we know that that's a distance for some providers are locally in La Crosse, but if there are vendors out there who are listening that might be able to provide some sort of service in the service arrays to those counties, we would appreciate that too, or any interest in that. And if you want to explore that further, obviously you can reach out to send us a message through the CCS SOUPs as well. See, there might be a message in our chat too, so I was going to look to see what those are. Oh, got some specifics to the coordination committee. So
I am working on getting a flyer. I found one. I just need to get it into the chat here.
I don't want to. I have been at the coordination committee for the last 2 meetings. If anyone wants a little bit more information, the committee, don't forget, is not a decision-making body. It's an advisory committee for the community to participate in. And Katie, that we had talked about at our last meeting, updating that, what you're about to share as well. So that's where the committee is. And we did make quorum for the first time in quite a few months, but it's a state requirement that the coordination committee meet and make quorum. So that's why it's so important for all of us to like join in and do our part. And if you want to lead in your community, it's a good place to start in just learning about what CCS in our community is about.
Haley, I'm hearing that you guys are updating the flyer. Would you find value if I still put it into the chat for people to look at? I have updated
Absolutely.
contact info
It's
on it already.
absolutely.
all right, well, Katie is adding that. We don't have anything further from our end on CCS. Unless there are any other questions besides those, and thank you for sharing that, Bailey, from that perspective to help plug a little bit. We appreciate that.
Ellen, I'm sure you saw in the chat too, just that Stein Counseling, there's the DBT group
Yes.
services too. So.
I did see that too, so we'll make sure we are passing that along to our team. So thank you.
Yeah, Kim?
Thank you. I'm wondering if you can, or if the list of the areas that you are seeking providers for or additional contracts for, either can be included in the notes, or if you could just review those briefly here.
Yes, we can include them in the notes, but again, if you want me to just run through that list again one more time, is that what you're asking, Kim?
Yeah, I have
Absolutely.
it takes me a little bit to
No.
catch like the words. So yeah,
I'm wondering,
repeating that's helpful.
Ellen, is
Yeah,
there any way you could copy and paste it into the chat?
I was just thinking I was just going to do that, Bailey.
Awesome. Thank you. That would be super helpful.
Kim, thank you for asking. My brain was trying to process that I wanted to ask that, but it wasn't processing fast enough.
There you go. That's easier.
Anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is specific for Monroe and Jackson?
No, actually, I mean, I just add that at the bottom. We're always looking for support in the rural community. We tend to have less vendors support, it appears, but all of those areas would be throughout, throughout the RIC. So La Crosse as well, La Crosse community as well, when we're looking for those areas of support.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
I'm having issues getting this flyer to upload. What I'm thinking I'll do instead is maybe just email it out to everyone. Would that be sufficient? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Any other questions on those CCS updates at all? Our agenda. Does anyone have any general questions or any big organizational updates that they wanted to share today? see it anyway. All right, well then, we might be done a little early. And nothing wrong with that. We can, again, look out for your budget packets next month. If you have any questions when those come through, feel free to get a hold of us. And we will be in touch about the new meeting format for CCS vendors. There will be a meeting in November for all vendors, for all CCS vendors. And then the next fall vendor meeting that we will have, we will be in touch with you probably sometime earlier in the year when we get that set for 2027. It will be next summer. And as always, if you have any questions anytime, just feel free to reach out to us, whether it's the program staff or program related question or contract unit, we're always available as well. So, any other questions? All right, well, thank you all for being here today. We appreciate you all, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.